As you know, Chinese people are very disciplined. If they're told to stay home, they stay home. If they're ordered to wear masks, they abide. Everything is clearly spelled out. Therefore, the virus is in decline and China is gradually coming back to its normal life. But here's the thing, people spent a long time together in close quarters, husbands and wives, etc. And now divorces are happening at an alarming rate.
In China too?
Specifically in China, they even had to implement a quota in the town of Fuzhou. No more than 10 divorces per day. Can you imagine? Tell me, is this the result of the virus, the collapse of the family unit, of relationships between people?
Well, this is a special situation with the Chinese. They used to work 15 hours a day.
And suddenly they're brought together, right?
And suddenly they spend these 15 hours together. You could go crazy, truly. They didn't really know each other. Only to the extent of bumping into each other at home, no more, nothing else. And suddenly they're faced with this person. Is this my wife? Ah. The only thing left to do is ask her name. This is the extent to which people don't connect with each other nowadays. And if they do things together, it's not out of unity. What's happening in the kitchen? What's for dinner? How about this and that? Meaning outside of themselves, outside of you or me, only if they have to do something together.
So this virus turned out to be a true reality check of familial relations between people.
They never really had familial relations. And they were required to have a family to get married, so they found themselves together. And even though they lived under the same roof for 20 years, that was not called living. And now it turns out that this is what life and family are? No one's okay with that.
You're known as a big opponent of divorce. You always say that it's the measure of last resort, the very last resort, because there are children involved. So how can one coexist with another person? Many people find themselves in this situation, together in close quarters. Suddenly they get acquainted with each other, as you say. How can they avoid breaking up a family?
First, we must accept by default that we are not angels, that we are led by fate. The upper force. No one is a saint. And naturally, we don't know each other. We don't even know ourselves. And therefore, we can change many more times over our lifetime. But the fact that we brought children into this world makes us responsible for them. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship we have with our spouse. We are responsible for our children, and we cannot buy ourselves out with money. We must participate in their upbringing.
In raising them?
In raising them and in shaping them. You can spend millions on your children, but they will never consider you their father unless you are with them. And the other way around, you can live in hunger, the whole family, but if you're with them, they will consider you to be their father and will not blame you for leaving them. Therefore, divorce is a very last measure. I would even say a post measure, a foreign measure. I would not allow divorce.
So you would forbid it?
If there are children involved, I would not allow it. If there are no children, it's a different ball game. Just ask around, especially the fathers who've left their children, and ask them how their children are treating them. You will hear, as I've heard many times in my life, that kids never approve their father leaving them. He left them, not their mother, but them. And they see it as betrayal. You cannot make up for it with money or anything.
You see what the virus has done? All these questions come up that a person must ask himself.
This is all due to the lack of right education. This is what's driving such an attitude towards family. The virus is doing the right thing by gradually exposing the whole truth of our system.
A kind of X-ray?
Yes, exposing it as something unacceptable for human life. Education is exactly what humanity needs. all the resources that are becoming available now, except for what is necessary for our survival, should be channeled into education.